Welcome to Was It Good, the podcast that reviews movies and TV shows. Today, we are talking about the controversial Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney+. I'm Ravi, as always, joined by my two brothers,
Krishna
and
Arjuna.
Look at that sweet intro. There was only 0.5 seconds of dead air. It was
nice.
And I say controversial for Obi-Wan Kenobi because people just like, you know, fans of Episode 8 and other great, interesting Disney Star Wars properties are very kind of on one side or the other and very, very extreme when it comes to opinions on this content. Now, usually we ask the question, was it good at the end? But I think because this is such a controversial topic in terms of was Obi-Wan Kenobi good, the question is going to be split into two parts. Was Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 6, the finale for this first season, good? And was Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series, good? We're going to ask the question first. Krishna, was Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 6 good? Just that episode.
Just the episode? Yeah. I'm going to say yes, it was good.
Get the fuck out.
Because in my opinion, it was the best episode of the series. That fight between Vader and Obi-Wan,
Right?
there was emotion, and I thought they actually did that really well. I thought the line when Anakin says, "You didn't kill Anakin, I did," and if you go back and you look at the lighting, it's blue on his face while he says that, which is almost, you can interpret that as like the last gift he's trying to give Obi-Wan as Anakin. Like, he's trying to let him off the hook. I just thought there are a lot of really interesting details in the episode, which I really enjoyed. Was it perfect? No. Was the show perfect? No. Are there problems? Absolutely. But the episode, I thought, was the strongest of the season, and that's exactly what you want in any season of anything. So
It's a very PC answer. I love it.
PC? Oh, well, we'll get into all that. I'm sure we'll get un-PC very soon.
Pretty cool answer.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool answer.
Arjuna, was the season finale or the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi good?
That is the question. Is it a season finale? Is it a series finale?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Just leave it at finale.
So that's an interesting question. There's kind of two ways to look at, is Obi-Wan Kenobi the series done, or is it going to be another finale, or excuse me, another season? Is Reva going to be in it? And a lot of people look at the character of Reva and the fact that she is still alive at the end of this episode as a clear indication that, yes, there will be a season 2. So, I don't know. Take that for whatever it's worth.
I mean, or a spinoff.
Or a spinoff. Her
name's not Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I don't know though if that character and I don't. I'm not gonna get into this because it is my whole point. One of my big arguments for this whole show. But yeah, go ahead. Answer that question.
Yeah, this is. I kind of hope you ask this question again at the end of the episode, because this is like, in particular with the finale, with this final episode, I think my answer could change within the context of this conversation, because it is so borderline for me. There are some of my favorite moments of the entire series and in a lot of Star Wars in this show, and there are some of mind-boggling, head-scratching moments within this finale and this episode that are like,
Why?
What? Who? Huh?
Whom?
Whomst? I gotta go with my gut.
Go.
Where I'm at this point.
Let's hear it.
I have to say no
God.
now.
God.
I'm gonna say no. And honestly, it's like I'll go back and forth, probably by the minute and the hour and the day since I saw it. And I think right now I'm at a no. Just for, I think some of the detractions were too great for me and took away from, I think, what should have been a special episode and a special moment. Ravi, thank you for your time.
And honestly, this is the one podcast where if you were somewhat serious, I'd be like, I'm okay. We're just walking out. Honestly, because like before, I give my answer, if episode 6 was good or not. the thing with it is it's so, like, to your point, it's so right on the line of good. It was a good episode, it was a bad episode. And depending on who you're talking to and how it is framed, it can definitely go either way.
I will say this, and this is our 221st episode.
Right.
On What's It Good? And I will say this is probably one of the hardest ones to have ever decided upon.
Yes. Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, you just look around. Like, if you're watching our pod, live, or our pod on youtube.com/what'sgood, our set that we've designed here is very heavily influenced by fucking Star Wars.
Just gave us the wide.
Yeah, there you go.
Star
Wide shot here.
Wars.
Like, it's a very big part of, like, what we do in our daily lives. So yeah, it is a very difficult one. This goes back to us just being siblings and, always having to kind of one up the other. I was going to say yes until Christian started talking. And then the second you brought up the Obi and Vader fight, that should never have been.
That should never have been?
It should never have happened. That's
Wait,
when hold on.
You got to explain.
I will. That's where my answer just kind of shifted to no. And moving right into, like, my statement right there,
Wait, so is your answer no?
Yeah, my answer is no.
Okay.
Episode 6 was not a good episode. But again, towards June's point, it could change by the end of this pod. And even my thought on the entire series could change by the end of the pod. The reason I say that fight sequence should have never happened is I texted both of you this, and I said episode 6 does a disservice to episode 3, the movie, and episode 4, the movie, A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith. And the reason is because by having these two fight again, regardless of, the gift that Anakin gave Obi or whatever, the fact that Obi just leaves him for a second fucking time. Just like
That's tough.
I can't. I know. I even have said it. Like, I went on TikTok and I saw these people screaming and crying or loving or whatever. And you're trying to just be like, yeah, who gives a fuck at the end of the day? It's a stupid sci-fi, whatever the fuck. Like, who cares? Move on with your fucking life, right? But at the same time, it's like that fact that we have seen where Obi-Wan Kenobi ends and where he picks back up in the series, in the original films, and the things he says and the things he does. And, like, the fact that he had the option to stop this mass murderer from helping the Empire finish building the Death Star that goes and annihilates Alderaan, killing billions of people. He had the ability to stop it, and he just walked away. Like, it's just so mind-numbingly stupid, regardless of, like, the beauty of the fight or whatever was said. Like, it just takes away everything. It's just like this big... It feels like a big, giant, like, fuck you, honestly. And again, to your point, Christian, you said it best in text. It's Disney Star Wars. Take it for whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah. Actually, I think the best tweet I saw was that since Disney has bought Star Wars. You got to treat Star Wars like fan fiction.
Yeah.
Or fan service. Either one. Take your pick.
Yeah.
That's what it is right now, and I think that it's inevitable once you have a huge company like Disney buying in, when everything's so corporate the way they do things. They're, they really listen to, I don't know. I don't know if you can even say they listen to fans, but they seem to make things with the idea of what's going to get the biggest fan reaction.
Right.
And so that's how you have to look at it, I think, post-Disney sale. It's fan fiction. It's fan service. Is it going to completely destroy your feelings of Star Wars, of what you thought Star Wars was? Probably, but that's all right. We still watch it.
That's not what you're supposed to say.
It's true, though.
Oh, wow.
The Star Wars we grew up with is a very different thing now.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that we're still watching it means that we've bought in, and it's sort of one of those things we've got to accept. And so you almost have to kind of dumb your brain down a little bit when you watch this stuff. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Yeah.
So once you can do that, it becomes much more enjoyable.
It's super tough because I was probably, I think the fandom was definitely split when the show was announced, where half of the people were like, "Oh, cool, yeah, we need more content around these two iconic characters," and half the fans were like, "No, we don't. Like, we know the story. Like, I don't need to know when they went to the bathroom and what they ate for dinner the night before the Death Star sequence. Like, I don't need that information."
I mean, I want that.
No, nobody in their right mind could ever want that. But I had hopes that this would be a really good like character case study, like really kind of diving into these two iconic characters and figuring things out. But again, I think the expectations were again too high. It doesn't help that Kathleen Kennedy was touting that this battle sequence between Vader and Obi is going to be the greatest thing ever. I get from a marketing standpoint, yes, you need something to help build the hype.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do.
I still think, actually, let's ask this question. Which is a better epic fight? The one between Obi and Anakin in episode 3 at the very end? Or this, battle between Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi?
They're different. And I think to go back to your points, the best parts of the show is the Vader and Obi-Wan stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, if they remove some of the if they remove the entire Reva storyline and they just focus on Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, I think we're all easily pretty much saying yes. Still not a perfect show, but I think still just an entertaining character study, kind of like you said. I think it falls into that Disney Plus problem of like, we have to add other things. Here is a new Inquisitor. Here is some new characters. Here's a guy who might get spun off into a show. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of like the Disney
checklist
synergy checklist thing. Everything must kind of have an open-ended ending so it can have more seasons, more merchandise, more follow-ups and whatever. And that's where the show kind of detracts from. But like the Vader and Obi stuff, even if it is a bit canon breaking, even if it is a bit nonsensical, or potentially just makes Obi-Wan the worst Jedi in the entire universe, Yoda probably loved this finale because he's like, I've been exonerated. Obi-Wan,
he's off the hook.
He's off the hook. Obi-Wan, you're the asshole. You could have killed him twice. You went 0 for 2. You suck. The Mustafar battle's still better because
I think so.
It's a culmination of that entire trilogy.
Well, not only that though, it's like in a movie that was, I think the runtime's like 2 hours, 20 minutes or something for Revenge of the Sith. In that movie, regardless of any extra content, right? I have always been a fan of the prequel trilogies, except episode 2. It's cringy as fuck. But I liked episode 1 and I like episode 3. But like in the course of that film, you saw these two characters, you saw how their thought process and everything split, and you saw them come back and duke it out to kind of end things. Great. It was perfect. You don't need anything else, right? But then we did get something else. The Clone Wars. We got a whole new character in Ahsoka, which guess what? That series and that finale added, to episode 3. It gave you more context. It didn't do anything in terms of making you kind of question really anything. You looked at it and you're like, this is really an amazing way to kind of see how these characters' other influences affected them, right? And then again with Star Wars Rebels, when Ahsoka, meets Vader on planet Sith Lordy, I can't remember the name of it. She does a similar thing where she wipes, smacks his mask open, and this time I think it's on the left side. Obi's is on the right side. I don't know what the fuck that means, except that they're copying each other. So
just cool. Different. I guess maybe one's lefty, one's righty.
I don't know, but again, it's like that whole thing with Ahsoka and Vader I thought was really powerful and impactful. But now that you've seen a similar thing that had happened prior, I'm starting to I'm less and less impressed with Vader, and he's becoming less and less this scary thing. Sure. I'm more of a giant, slow ass wimp that just kind of gets slapped in the face, and I don't know. They're just they're ruining the characters at this point.
But I mean, I think you can make that argument with the prequels as well, right? If you look at the original Obi-Wan Kenobi in episode 4, and then you track him through the prequel trilogy, does it make sense that, from our understanding, he just didn't do anything for so many years and was just a hermit? It was just a hermit, and then all of a sudden it's like, let's go fight.
But that was never. But that was never. But
that was all retroactive. You know what I'm saying? Like
sure.
Star Wars has always been a prequel, right? They've always done something and then gone back and sort of
Fixed
retconned it and sort of fixed it. I
Hold
mean,
on,
Luke,
hold on.
Luke in episode 4
Right.
saying, "Old Ben Kenobi." I want, or Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wonder if that could be old Ben Kenobi. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Sure.
shit like that.
No, I get that they're
Where-
retcon, but like the way it was always presented to me in the original trilogies is that Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, was doing Force training, was just training and dealing stuff with the Force, which the Force has always been this cooler, more interesting thing than this we have to go and do action thing. And that's what I was hoping the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was going to be. Instead, it was, planet hopping and, stupid fart
But
jokes.
did you really, after Book of Boba, want him to stay on Tatooine for another 6 episodes?
I would have been we have seen, like, Star Wars has done it at least in the animated world, where they have explored the whole idea of the Force, right? There's a whole, I want to say Madrigal, but that's not right. Mortis. The whole Mortis arc where they're on that Force planet and they're exploring the big ideas of good, evil, and in between and all that fun stuff. They were technically on one planet the entire, 4 episodes, and I was fine with it.
Rabbit, we've seen the budgets of these shows because apparently Disney is poor and, can't render out their full graphics. Is that what you wanted? CGI fest of really bad Force trips?
I'm sorry, but did you all see the CGI in Obi-Wan Kenobi?
That's what I'm saying. It's bad.
Super bad.
So that's what I'm saying. You wanted a CGI heavy show?
No, but you could have
that wouldn't have worked.
done more practical. Like, there are ways around it. Like,
Actually, even the practical stuff looked cheap.
I mean, everything on it looked cheap.
Like, that's one of my biggest issues with the show. Is like Disney is a multi-billion-dollar company, and this show looked like, in parts, not the whole thing, but in parts, looked like it could have been on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Hey! You don't diss the Sci-Fi Channel.
I'm not.
You
I'm
take
not
But
that
he's
back.
right. But
I'm
he's
not-
right.
no,
It
no,
looked
that's
like,
not a-
it's like, oh, that's California. Like that's literally the Palisades.
That's Joshua Tree.
That's
Yeah.
Joshua Tree. Like cool.
It's not a dig at sci-fi. This is 100%. Sci-fi does a great job with the budget they have, right?
All
doesn't.
$10 of it.
Exactly. Disney does not. So, yeah.
I actually started rewatching, or I attempted to rewatch Stargate Universe. And
Yeah.
before I started, I showed Lauren a trailer. The trailers for like the Sci-Fi Channel shows back in the day, they were like these 3-4 minute epic masterpieces with like variety of changes in music and tone and just wild stuff.
TV trailers have come a long way. If you want,
No, they're way better then. They suck now.
no, but to even go the other way, like some of them were really cheesy and bad.
Yeah.
Google or YouTube, Batman Begins ABC Family trailer to see how cringy trailers like used to be on like network television.
Oh boy.
Like horrible.
Well, it makes sense that for ABC Family, it's got to be family friendly. It can't be like, I'm Justice. It's probably like,
I think he says I am. She says I'm Justice. It's in
well,
the trailer.
shit.
I'm beyond justice.
I am Justice. Speaking of Justice, Arjuna, as always, does a DVD chapter listing. Before we jump into his chapter listing, just some clarity. Is this a chapter listing for the entire series or just the episode? Because looking at it,
Just episode 6.
this is a very chunky big boy chapter listing you've created here.
I like chunk.
Chunkiness.
Yes, chunky is my way to do it.
And as always, Krishna is going to read the DVD chapter listing, and the voice he will be doing it in is everyone's favorite idiotic Jedi, Master Yoda.
Oh. Wait. Do I read this chapter listing like in his backward speech?
I'm gonna
You know how, like-
I'm gonna say you'll have to figure it out on the fly. Good luck to you.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
A funky thing hyperspeed is. Sacrifice yourself for me, you must. In heaven, you will be rewarded.
Pretty good so far.
Number 27, duel. Run to the desert. Use the force, Luke, you must. I'm in the spin-off. You can't kill me. Could not kill me. Those fake rocks could not. Danny is the greatest of all time. I'm going to let you live. Why? Just why? Dead secrecy is. Lays down justice. Papa Palpatine must. Save the world because I decided I didn't want to. You must, kiddo. Get it started in here. Let's. that was really hard. I had to do like
That was pretty
a little
good.
translation.
I mean, you did a really good job. Like this chapter, sorcery is dead. Dead sorcery is like that's
Secrecy.
yeah, secrecy. That's basically that's how he talks. So good for you.
yeah, some of it.
I'm gonna give that. I'm gonna give the reading a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna give the actual DVD chapters and the size of it a 2 out of 10.
Oh my god.
I mean, it was it was actually ruined by doing the Yoda speak. All the jokes didn't land.
Yeah.
Like, let's get it started in here. Like the song, let's get it started. Because like Qui-Gon's like, we're just getting started. Like that's the last thing. You know that the joke doesn't.
It should have
land.
been one DVD chapter, which was a waste of time.
Wow.
Or pointless. Pointless.
We're
Is
just
that your one-word
heartless.
impression?
That's I mean, actually, yeah, let's jump in there. Yeah. My one word impression of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm going with the entire season for this answer. Pointless. I don't think it really does anything to heighten episode 3 or heighten episode 4. It doesn't do a whole lot. The things that I have seen in terms of and a quick side note, like I like to do, but like social media, TikTok especially, all of the Star Wars TikTokers, their favorite word after this episode was parallel. And just the parallel between this and that, and it was insane. There was just so many. And the fact that there are so many and that most of them you have to kind of really dig for, again, it just doesn't seem like it really added any benefit to anything. So, and the other thing too, like again with pointless, like I know part of the Disney structure with Star Wars is to sell merchandise. What merchandise? The stupid little spinny droid thing? That really? No.
Lola's pretty cute.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
You know what? Your birthday's coming up. I'm gonna make you a frisbee and call it Lola. You're welcome.
I think this pod is proving you're old. Like you're.
Oh
washed.
yeah,
This is
100%.
You're in the wash. Like this is like what the 30-year-olds are like when the prequel trilogy. Go, what is this? This is pointless. What is that to the emotional half of the original trilogy, the rich text of Star Wars?
I said on our Star Trek our Star Trek Discovery our Star Trek Picard and Strange New Worlds pod to our parents. I said that we as our generation, which includes you two, our parents' generation, we're bigots.
Everyone's a bigot.
Yeah, everyone's a bigot, and everything that we see content-wise is not for us. It's for the next generation. 100% agree with that. Doesn't mean I'm not going to stop complaining about it.
I recognize my bigotry. However, I will still be a bigot.
Hey, this is America. Freedom of putting out a podcast.
So there you go.
Let's
Freedom
not
of
talk about
podcast.
freedoms.
I like that. Oh man. Well, my one-word impression is going to be Kenobi, specifically the pushback at Ravi. He says the whole thing is pointless and it does nothing to add to episode 3 or episode 4. I don't think that was the point of the show.
Because it was pointless.
To me, the point of the show was to show a little bit of how Kenobi gets from this disenchanted, really beat down Jedi at the end of episode 3 into the wise force, the wise master that he is in episode 4. And obviously, going from episode 3 to episode 4, Kenobi is going to be a pretty wild journey, right? Because those are two different people. And I thought the show, in that respect, did, like when we said, if you had taken out all the other stuff and kept it Obi-Wan and Vader, I think the show accomplished that. It shows you, okay, this is sort of how he's trying to get over episode 3 and start to move toward episode 4 Kenobi. Now, that does get lost a few times because of all the extra bloat.
He also left Vader again on the planet.
Yes,
he kind of had to, though, because if he killed him...
Wise or stupidness? Excuse me. Being wise or stupidity? I pick stupidity.
I mean, the Jedi code is also not to kill. Like,
I'm sorry, but he has a lightsaber,
So-
and aren't the
yeah,
Jedi
they
that
use that for defense, The only thing you see them explicitly kill are droids and robots.
and stormtroopers?
And Darth Maul. I know that doesn't hold up very well, but still.
Yeah.
Anyways, I assume Arjuna has a one-word impression.
Me?
That's not a.
Oh, that's your one word?
son?
Okay.
My
Jar
one
Jar.
word impression is
Binks.
Binks.
You know, if Jar Jar Binks had showed up at the end, even in like some dumb whatever after, I would have been like, the show's amazing. It's perfect.
Don't lie. You're just grumpy and old now. You're washed. You're washed. Retire.
Yeah, you're washed, man.
You're Chris Paul's knees.
Who?
Ooh.
Chris Paul, CP3.
Oh God, no.
You know, remember the Suns? They were #1 seed in the East or the West, and then he got old like overnight and couldn't play basketball anymore.
I don't think it was just that.
I mean, that was
Yeah, it
that-
was COVID.
Yeah,
According to
like,
their, their
It was his
PR
podcast. Anyway, flat Earth. Yeah. So yours. What is your one word impression?
For me, my one word impression is solid.
Okay.
Obi-Wan Kenobi was solid. And the reason I'm going to say solid is because there's much to discuss with the show, as we have already talked about. With there's a lot that you can praise, there's a lot you can nitpick for this show, but ultimately it is not the worst we have seen from Star Wars.
Yeah. Episode
Nor is it the best that we have seen from Star Wars. It is somewhere in the middle. It's very solid, and I'm just I feel like we've had some negativity here, and I want to balance it out by being a little more positive and saying it's just nice to have some Star Wars content, even if it's not
Is
the
it,
best.
though?
I love Star Wars, and it's nice to have some like live action content when there were so many years we didn't
I
have.
have to go.
We didn't have much content though. Like think about it, we had to kind of scrape off of like video games and
Some really good
Some
video
bu-
games though.
but still we it's
Well,
nice.
real quick, specifically Jedi Fallen Order, not Battlefront. That was boring.
But I'm talking about even before that, right? Like
Mhm.
post Revenge of the Sith, before Force Awakens. There's a 12-year gap or a 10-year gap of there's nothing for Star Wars really coming out besides animated shows, besides a couple video games here and there.
Shit tons of books if you know
Yeah.
how to read.
Yeah, but like that's still not as popular and not as not, and it's also we didn't know what canon was, right? Like no
Sure.
one necessarily owned Star Wars, and so that's not necessarily like a mainstream type of idea. So
But going back to like right there, you said it, mainstream idea, and what Christian said
Sure.
earlier, where it's like this is Disney Star Wars, and it's
Sure.
being made for a bigger audience.
Yeah.
I would argue, and I think you would agree that that stuff that we got in between the dark years, before the dark years, that stuff that we got before the Empire bought, Star Wars. Some of that stuff is the more interesting, rich story and more diverse characters and more expanded Star Wars lore that we got since this corporation has bought it. Everything has been about, for the most part, majority of it has been Skywalker, and like driven around these similar characters and stories.
I mean, Mando's their biggest.
No,
property
Mando
right
is
now.
a really good example of like we've kind of pushed beyond that. Sure, I would argue, and I think we all would argue, with Boba Fett and the fact that they threw a Luke Skywalker in there, and then again we get more Skywalker. I do wonder at like what point are we going to be done with telling these what happened the day before X event stories and start really like looking at the larger universe and here's this random character. Like if you're going to do this story, about you want to introduce a Kenobi and you want to introduce a Vader, they try to introduce a new character with Reva, right? Reva is supposed to be that new thing, that new like, well, let's take this idea of like somebody survived Order 66 that was at the temple. That's a very cool, solid idea. But just focus on that. Don't call it Obi-Wan Kenobi and run with it and go fully in, right? Don't half-ass it like they did with Reva, because Reva is really she's a shoehorned in character. She was just shoved in there and it wasn't a good focus. Instead of doing Obi-Wan Kenobi, just leave it. and just do a Reva story, but it's
then
just
what?
Reva.
But no one would care about it.
But
They're playing it safe. Like you,
I know,
you
but
think
that's
about
what
it, you have
I'm
your
not
principal
arguing that.
thing,
I'm not
right.
arguing that at all. I'm just saying that is a more interesting, compelling story to me than an Obi-Wan Kenobi that's just being done for mainstream media.
But there's still good stuff within the Obi-Wan show. There's still interesting things about the character. Like
Bad
Krishna
rock
said,
throwing.
you love to focus on the smallest details.
But that's a big detail. You guys gonna tell me that CGI during that entire fight sequence? You're gonna say that wasn't like, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't. It didn't take you out of the whole thing.
No, I didn't. It looked bad, but I was still able to separate it. We've had years of bad CGI at this point. This is not unique to Star Wars or Disney or anything.
Right.
Look at CGI across the gamut. It's not good.
It's very.
We could do a whole pod about
Do you know how
the
rare
state
it is
of
to see good
CGI in the industry. It's bad.
Say that again, Christian.
Yeah, you know how rare it is to see good CGI. So at this point, seeing good CGI would take me out of it. I would be so distracted. I'd be like, I have to pause this. It's so beautiful.
Do you think
The
that
bad
maybe
CGI now we're just used to it?
maybe we were wrong and the CGI is good? But
It probably is. Let's be honest.
I mean,
Like,
I don't know. Why
Who
can't
knows?
like just do practical effects? How hard can it be to bring
Oh, right, that's easier.
wow.
Just get some rocks.
Yeah. Just throw it. Did anyone actually, speaking about like the actual visual quality, one of the things that I saw, and again, I tested this on multiple devices. The fight sequence was too dark.
It did seem that way, yes.
To the point where I'm not going to name the channel because I can't remember it, but they have done like actual tests that shows that they purposely made it super, super dark so the emphasis was on the lightsabers, right? The red and the blue. But then it just came across, like Christian, you said at the beginning, fan film-like. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it did seem kind of dark, and I like tried to I was like watching in my living room, and I was trying to like darken everything, like turn off like all the blinds, close all the doors, and it was still kind of hard to make things out, like shapes and colors.
I think they were trying to go for like what they did in the duel in episode 3, which looked a little bit better, where it's like Vader just like completely owning Obi-Wan, where
Right.
like he's pretty much drunk off his ass, like doesn't know how to use a lightsaber, doesn't remember how to use the Force. It's very much like a novice at that point. Because that one looked at least visually better, and that was, remember, very dark and just kind of like
same.
the stalkery Vader, and it felt like they're trying to go for that parallel, but I don't know. One of my, I think, biggest criticisms with the show is, I think they had some good ideas and some good intent. It just wasn't like fully fleshed out or fully baked out. Like, let's take the Obi-Wan example, with him leaving Vader alive. You could have easily written in a narrative reason like why he couldn't kill him.
Yeah.
And it just was very lazy just to have him walk away again, because now it opens up like, why the fuck did he do that? At least in the Revenge of the Sith, like, you could be like, he's burning alive. He's is just not going to kill him at that point because he is essentially dead.
Well, he even says, he's like, I'm going to let your fate is now left up to the Force.
Right.
Right? Because at that point, he's very Force, whatever. Yeah. He just walks away. I mean, there's so many different ways they could have done it, where they could have made Reva more impactful, where they could have thrown in the Grand Inquisitor.
The Grand Inquisitor was in the episode. He was just he was like the ship guy being like, we should do this, Lord Vader.
It's a bad idea, Vader.
Yeah,
We
the
shouldn't
Grand
chase one man.
That's another
the entire mob.
That's another character where they created this really cool idea, a Jedi temple guard that's fallen. He becomes this Grand Inquisitor thing. He is ruthless as fuck, but he does fear Vader. And you see that fear in this character in Rebels at the season finale. He fucking kills himself because he doesn't want to go up to Vader and be like, I failed. The version that we get in Obi is
that's how he dies?
That's how he dies in Rebels.
Forgot
Yeah.
about that.
He is unable to capture the the Ghost crew, and basically everyone's favorite blind Jedi Kanan is able to defeat him. Pre-blind Kanan is able to defeat him, and instead of facing Vader, he says like there are things worse than death, and he just throws himself into a fire because he doesn't want to deal with that. The version that we got here was this guy that talks back to Vader, like almost puts Vader in his place at certain points, and like he's almost like an equal. Like it doesn't feel like a I report to you type structure.
I guess one question, is going to be a weak defense of that, but how much time before Rebels does this show take place? Do
About
we know?
6 years, give or take.
No,
So
it's less
is
than
it possible?
That's more.
Is it possible that Vader just doesn't have the respect of the Empire that he does 5 years later?
But you have
Is
to.
it possible?
But you have to remember, it's been 10 years. So
True.
Episode 3 happens. He gets Vader, and he's walking around. He's Vader, and they start building the Death Star. And the Inquisitor program, if you will, is Vader's like child. Like that's his thing. Papa Palpatine's like, go do whatever, you fucking weirdo. I'm gonna make some fallen Jedi my Inquisitors and keep dead ones in amber for the Jurassic Park that I'm building. That's another thing that was like
Jedi Park.
That was that was another area where it was like this is horrific and cool. The Jedi all encased in those things, and
That was cool.
It was cool, but it's also one of those things where it's like if I want to learn more about that, I gotta wait for that comic book or find that comic. I don't know.
That's Star Wars to a T, though.
No,
That's even
definitely,
pre-Disney. They're
definitely,
like,
yeah.
you see this cool thing?
Let me ask
Read
you this
this
question. let me ask you this question. Do you think it's at all possible, Ravi, you would have enjoyed the show better if it had not called it Kenobi? Let's say they called this I don't know, some name like Aftermath or
That's an actual book, but interesting.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think of like just something more vague.
Yeah.
And not specific to Kenobi. And then instead of making it 6 episodes, you make it longer, make it 10 or 12, but then you put more focus on those things. So it becomes more of an ensemble show. So you know how like Game of Thrones kind of works because it's not about one person, right? It's about all these different factions and all these things going on. In that way, Obi-Wan and Vader can be the through line, and they can still be sort of the main characters, but then you don't hate the fact that when we focus on something else, you're on that instead of that.
I would love that. Star Wars is not mature under Disney. It's not at a place where they would ever allow something like that.
That was George Lucas's plan before. So his live action Star Wars show was supposed to be like this really large ensemble, like here are all the different corners and nooks and crannies of the galaxy and the universe. And actually, I think Favreau and Filoni took some of the concepts and the ideas from that show and like streamlined them into some of the Mando season 1 ideas.
It's also why like Clone Wars I think also works so well is because it's one of the only things, and this is pre-Disney again, but it's one of the only things that has a massive cast, right? It's basically the entire Jedi Order, basically the entire Separatists like fighting each other and those individual stories, and then the faction that's in between, the neutral planets and everything, and stuff that you saw with like Mandalore. That's why that show does really, really well because you can pick it up anywhere and you get little arcs, but it also kind of like connects nicely. I don't think, unfortunately, unless there's some major restructuring or major like sitting down and really kind of thinking what are we doing here, I don't know if like Star Wars will ever in the live action sense do that. Just because
I think they should.
I think it would be great. I think it would it would make the show seem more, and this is going to sound really mean, really, really mean. The reason like Game of Thrones, I think, is an adult show, not just because of the sex and the violence, but it is because you have multiple characters and multiple things happening. While when you focus on like an individual character, it's a lot simpler to kind of follow along.
For sure. No,
but Obi-Wan didn't.
True.
But Obi- Wan didn't do that. I mean, even though it was called Obi-Wan, there are
Sure.
multiple characters. I think they're just kind of getting lazy with their nomenclature a little bit and being like, this is a show about Obi-Wan, but it isn't. And now we're only going to do 6 episodes, but we're going to like try and do a bunch. I think they have to get away from this idea of like everything has to be 6 episodes while trying to do like 10 to 15 episodes sometimes of story within it. Because I think one of the worst parts of Obi-Wan there were episodes that felt like nothing happened, i.e. episode 4. Episode 4 in particular, right?
Yeah.
The evacuate, the
Great
base-
Escape.
The Great Escape, where he puts a child under his coat and there's a big lump and nobody notices. And then there are episodes where it's like, oh my god, holy shit, there's so much shit going on. Like, where are my eyes going? And like, some of these stories feel half-baked. The Reva stuff, for example, within the finale, where it's like, if you wanted to do something there, like, why do it in this way or in this situation? I think
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think inevitably, like, The Mandalorian is moving to a spot where it is becoming an ensemble cast with these different Mandalorians coming. Favreau and Filoni have talked ad nauseum of, like, it's not always going to be about Din, and, like, Grogu. And I think, I know you guys haven't seen, like, the Mandalorian trailers yet, but...
Oh, we did. It leaked everywhere.
Well, you didn't see the high-quality one.
I mean, we did.
You know, but
have you heard of the Pirate Bay, Arjuda?
But
Torrents.
Wow.
But what I'm saying is, right, like, that's becoming more of an ensemble cast. And I think they are, like, I think Disney plays stuff very safe. And so, like, yes, Mandalorian Season 1 and Season 2, as we have talked about, was very much like,
the quest.
here's a quest for you to go on, Mando.
So, Arjuna, it sounds like you're kind of agreeing with us. So, like, if they had made this show, not called it Kenobi, expanded it, and then spent a lot more, gone more in depth on characters and what they're going through, instead of half baking everyone, like the whole thing felt half baked, right? We didn't get enough Kenobi, we didn't get enough Vader, we didn't get enough Reva, you know, and then maybe it sounds like we agree.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, like, that's going to be interesting to kind of track with Star Wars, because, like, all of the live action shows that have come out are a single character name so far, and the next
Boba Fett, The Mandalorian.
the next two that are coming out are also Ahsoka. Andor. The next one, I mean, Skeleton Crew.
Andor is not a character; it's a place.
No, Cassian Andor.
Oh, but there's. I'm thinking Endor.
Yeah. Wow.
And I hope Andor ends up ends up on Endor.
Hi, I'm at Cassian Andor.
That'd be hilarious.
From Endor.
But Andor also seems like it is going to be more of an ensemble cast too, even though, again, it is called Andor. So it's, again, like, they're trying to utilize these characters that are popular within the IP to, like, hook you in, but then being like, it's something else. And I think that's a little dangerous, because then it's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the biggest complaint I saw with the Kenobi show, and Ravi's repeated it multiple times. It's called Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it didn't feel like we got enough Kenobi.
We just got this old guy playing babysitter, running around, and forgetting how the Force works, and then it suddenly works, and then he goes
on purpose,
and then he goes Super Saiyan God.
I will say this:
basically,
one of the funniest plot things I found in this whole episode. So they're in the ship, right, and they can't get into hyperspeed.
The Episode 8 ship thing, yeah.
So they can't get away, right? Obi-Wan's plan is, I'll take this little shuttle ship to distract them and lead them away. Then Letter uses a hyperspeed on that to get away. Mm-hmm. They could have just put, like, most of the people in that little ship to, like, hyperspeed away.
I would imagine that. I don't think is that big of a deal, because the big ship had so many people.
But at least you could have gone, like, Leia out of there. Like, you're supposed to be trying to protect her. Like, that's the priority there.
I don't know anymore. I mean, I will say this, though, and this is probably will make you both uncomfortable, but deal with it.
Oh, God.
This series, you know, before it dropped, it, you know, touted this big, diverse cast, right? Little Ice Crush Cube. No, I'm kidding.
What?
But it had a very big, diverse cast, which I love to see. You love to see, like, various actors and actresses from things not sci-fi related, not even in television necessarily, like, coming in, and I thought that was great. But the one area that kind of irked me a lot, and it irked me because I had other people kind of, like, say to me, "Oh, how do you feel that you have representation in Star Wars?" And that is Kumail Nanjiani, who I think he is a great actor in certain things, like Silicon Valley. He is fan-fucking-tastic. He is great in that. A lot of his comedy specials, I think, are really, really good. That movie where he's the Uber driver, I can't remember the name of. Lovesick. Fan-fucking-tastic. He is hilarious.
Oh, he's playing himself.
And that's my problem.
Literally.
He was playing his fucking self again in this, and it sucked, and it felt like a fucking cruel joke, and I hated it.
You didn't like Hacha?
I hated it so much because it was like, okay, you're just checking a box, Disney. I get it.
Even like
I don't know if I'm annoyed at Disney or if I'm annoyed at the friends that are like, oh, you feel represented now. Like, no, I don't actually. But whatever.
Yeah,
That was my
I mean,
little
a
rant.
lot of like Roken, who's played by Ice Cube's son. There's Sully, who's like one of the two snowspeeder pilots or the trash compactor, whatever those ships are called. Pilots is
Sewage, yeah.
Maya Eskreen, who's a really well-known comedian. She had her own show on Hulu. Yeah, they were kind of like just there for vibes, for spin-off potential. Like especially Roken, where he's like, "You should be a leader," and he's like, "Oh, I plan to be."
He's like, I'm just getting started or something.
Yeah, I think he's going to be an Andor. That's my big theory.
Is that your bold
That's one of my bold predictions. But also the other thing with the casting as well is a lot of social media influencers in the Star Wars community, and I won't be pretty cool about this, PC. They're the ones that basically are the big, very pro, everything that Star Wars does is perfect, and if you don't like it, you're stupid. And full stop.
Yeah, you can't criticize.
You can't criticize. So a lot of these people were actually the background characters in episode 5 and 6, like those refugees. A lot of them are some kind of social media influencer, which I thought was an interesting way to like fill your background with people that are all super pro Star Wars Disney.
Well, as we've talked about, Disney is a small company. They can't afford a lot, so they like routinely try and get all of these people, like we've known they've used, like costuming groups before to like be background and stuff.
Yeah.
For different shows and stuff, because they can't afford to make their own armor and hire their own actors to portray these characters. So they have to crowdsource. It's tough.
So here's a question for you two. Disney comes to you for whatever reason and says you're going to be a background character, but you are not going to get paid. Your payment is that you can say you were this character in Star Wars. Would you do it?
Yes.
As a background? As a background?
As a background. So no lines.
Oh,
so you get no lines. You're just literally a background. You're just a prop to them at that point.
Yeah.
I'd
skip.
I would skip too. At this point, I would definitely skip.
Guys are so old.
It just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel. It just doesn't feel like a special thing anymore. It's like, if you check all the boxes for them, yeah, you can be in Star Wars, and if that's your goal, great, that's fine. But demand you get paid at least.
No, see, this is my plan. I get in there, and then I slip in my script for Star Wars, and I take over. And then at the next Star Wars celebration, it's not Kathleen Kennedy coming out on stage. It's me. I'm in charge. And
You go
everything.
from a background actor to running the entire franchise. That is goals.
I mean, this podcast is technically canon. We did present the Was It Good podcast at Star Wars Celebration, and
Yeah, we did. All three of us did that.
yeah, you were totally there.
I was totally there. Oh, that's funny.
So we're getting close, obviously, to an hour, and I do want to go back and revisit some of our initial thoughts here, right?
Our bold prediction.
Let's get into our bold predictions. So our bold predictions, as
They're
always,
kind of cold, honestly.
I mean, looking back at them, they were kind of shitty. We should have been way more out there in terms of things like nobody will die and nothing matters.
I liked our bold predictions.
Well, we'll start with Christian's then. So Christian's bold prediction, which at the time when he said it, I thought was stupid, but honestly, I wish it happened. Mace Windu.
Me too.
Window.
Mace the Windu.
Mace Windu will show up in Kenobi. Unfortunately, that did not happen. And I would be afraid for that character and that actor to come into Star Wars currently, to be honest. Under the Disney thing. I will wait.
Why?
Samuel L. Jackson is an amazing actor, and he has been given, I think, a lot of freedom as Nick Fury under Kevin Feige, and has done a great job and is a cool character and doesn't feel like they've been radically like stifling creatively. I wonder if like Samuel L. Jackson came in and was like, well, I want to do this. I want my lightsaber to be blood red now. I don't know if they'd let him, and he would have a reason, I'm sure. But I don't know if they would like let him do that if it doesn't fit whatever.
You don't think they'd let him be Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, I think they would tell him, you have to stick to the script essentially, and that would suck. So
Damn.
Yeah.
Sad.
That's
Well.
the pretty cool way of saying what I really want to say.
Pretty
Cool whip.
The Cool Whip. My bold prediction was Rebels Grand Inquisitor is a clone, and it will be revealed at the end in an end credit scene. That was so far off. We just had a guy that showed up because of revenge.
Revenge of
Revenge
the
kept him
Inquisitors.
alive.
Yes.
Revenge of the Sith.
Guys, whenever I get stabbed in the heart right through and you guys are like, oh my God, you're sad. Just no. Revenge will keep me alive.
It will. Revenge will keep us all alive.
And then Arjuna's bold prediction. Yoda will appear in the last episode and talk to Obi-Wan.
You know, he didn't appear, but he's the real winner out of Obi-Wan. Like I said, he's every you know, it was very easy to make the argument that Yoda was like criminal number one in the galaxy. Like he let all of this happen under his watch. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Obi-Wan could have killed Vader twice, didn't do jack shit. So I think Yoda gets a pass now. He's like, keep it going.
Instead, we got Qui-Gon Jinn showing up.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the worst cameo.
Yeah,
Even worse
the
than Papa
worst.
Palpatine's.
it was sassy. It was sassy pants.
No, it wasn't even the sassiness. It was like, after all that, you just come in for him to be like, I've been here all along. Okay, we have a lot to do. Bye.
Yeah.
No, he's going with him back to his hut, his cave. Like he started walking toward where Obi-Wan lives.
So
No, I understand that, but like,
Oh.
it feels like they just wasted Liam Neeson.
yeah.
Like there was so
Well,
much he had like wanted to talk to his master about. Like I wanted a little bit more of conversation, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, come on, it's so obvious. They're saving all that for season 2.
Sure,
Obvious.
but real quick, how do you guys feel though that Qui-Gon showing up as a Force ghost breaks canon?
no, it doesn't.
It does because Lucas had said when Qui-Gon was burned alive and his body was still a physical thing, he had said back then, in order to become part of the Force, you can become part of the Force, but to retain your essence and your body, you have to go the way that Obi-Wan Kenobi went. You can't have the body physically destroyed in the world.
So that's the thing, Ravi. That might have been canon at that point, but it's not that. His statement clearly is not canon anymore. I mean, and then Star Wars updates and retcons and changes their rules all the time.
Vader's
Like,
body
that's-
gets burned
that's what
in
they do.
episode 6, and then he has a Force ghost.
That's
Yeah,
different.
so
though.
Lucas,
How is that different?
Lucas like
Most of it was
destroyed his
destroyed
own
before.
rules. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, also in Revenge of the Sith, you know, Yoda has the line of like, Master Qui-Gon has learned how to ascend. And like that's
Yoda
that's
doesn't
him
sound
saying-
like that.
Well, okay, it was a bad impression, but my point still stands.
terrible.
George Lucas changes canon all the time.
No,
He is not
yeah.
a reliable narrator.
Yeah.
George Lucas is making it
Lucas
up.
changed
Was
shit
making
on
it
the
up as I was
fly.
going along the entire time.
So wait, which one to you is the worst cameo, Palpatine or Qui-Gon's, in terms of underutilized?
Well, Qui-Gon, I think. Palpatine, like honestly, I didn't even think twice when Palpatine showed up. I'm like, oh, there he is. Like, you know, I'm glad that Palpatine was like 2 seconds. Qui-Gon to me, I mean, to me, I was like, I'm glad Qui-Gon showed up because I've been waiting the whole show for him to show up.
That makes
he's
me
like
do.
my favorite. He's my favorite Jedi. Yeah, you know, so I'm glad he showed up, but absolutely, that's the stuff that we're interested in. I want to see the Force stuff. I want to see him training Obi-Wan, but it's clear. It seems clear as day that they're saving that for a future show
there's
or movie.
there's the whole anime like shorts that's coming out, Tales of the Jedi, which will like short stories that will explore again what the Jedi had for breakfast on day event, because you clearly need to know that. But they did tease in their initial trailer that there will be Qui-Gon Obi-centric stories. So maybe you'll get that in an animated form, and it will, again, probably be amazing and great because...
I would imagine that is Qui-Gon training Obi-Wan as a kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's probably
Which
what we're
would
going
be
to get.
which would be pretty sweet. Yeah.
You know, I think it's pretty clear that there's going to be a season 2 or some kind of spin-off. The show did successfully, you know, like, in terms of numbers that have not necessarily been publicly released, but like what we've been hearing is that
Ewan McGregor did
Yeah.
say the
Most
premiere was
watched.
the most watched Disney Plus premiere ever.
which I mean, good job on hype market. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive when you think about Mandalorian.
I mean, episode 1 is still my favorite episode out of this entire thing.
I mean, the show did the usual Disney Plus thing. Started off really well.
Start from the bottom. Now they're way not.
Started from
here.
the top, and then they went all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, they're not even.
What was
on
episode 1 about? I don't even remember episode 1.
It's just setting everything up.
Oh, right.
Just the whole setup and just kind of like placing you and
nice. Obi-Wan's a butcher.
Nice long shots. Like it was good. I thought episode 1 was good because it did a really good job with world building and placing you where you're at in that particular moment. But yeah, looking ahead to the future, who wants to go first with bold predictions? And let's try and not be cold here. Let's be spicy. I have.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a spicy one. I only have boring ones.
Can I give 2? One's about show and then one's about us.
Go for
No.
The one about us is we will all unanimously dislike season 2 or any spinoff, and it will actually be a bad thing. Like, it will not be any kind of borderline thing. It will just be, this is not good content, the end. That's my bold prediction. And
I
then,
see you're hopeful for the future.
Yes. They say I'm a positive person. They is my thoughts. And for the actual show, I don't really have any, to be honest.
You have to come up with one.
I guess my bold prediction will be that Luke and Leia meet as kids.
So we're just going to destroy the canon?
Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't know they met, though.
That's true.
But that's a good one. And also, and the reason why that might happen is because clearly Disney loves changing everything.
Yeah, change it all up.
And breaking the continuity. So yeah, I like that.
They'll do an emergency. Kathleen kind of do an emergency, breaking news conference or whatever, and it's like, because we fucked up the continuity, we're just gonna have to remake 4, 5, and 6. Sorry.
Wow.
Could you imagine? Oh my! I don't know what I would do. I think I would laugh, and then realize it doesn't really matter.
They'll remake them one day.
Probably.
Well, we'll see.
Anyone else have bold predictions, or is it just me?
I guess my bold prediction. Before I give my bold prediction, let me ask you this question: do we know Quinlan Voss's fate? Do we know how he ends?
No, we don't actually.
Great. My bold prediction is in season 2, he falls to the dark side. Obi-Wan fights him and kills him. The end.
That doesn't sound terrible.
That would be an interesting development in the studying of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but let's be honest, he'd probably just leave him and not finish him off.
No, he'll finish him off because,
Finished off Maul.
He's not Anakin. So he can kill anyone who isn't Anakin, clearly.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. He tried to kill him, or he attempted once and then successfully killed Maul.
Can we talk about how many lightsabers are buried in Tatooine for a second?
All of them.
A lot. A lot of lightsabers end up on Tatooine for some reason.
How are the Jawas not loaded with lightsabers?
I mean, these people bury these lightsabers in random ass spots, so the chance of someone coming across it feel unlikely. And because
What about metal detectors?
do you know how big of a desert Tatooine is?
No.
I
don't.
I would find it kind of interesting though if, like, when they start exploring, we have stuff with the high Old Republic storylines and everything, and that's 200 years, and suppose we're going to go back further at some point. It would be fascinating if they go back like 5,000 years and Tatooine is like actually like this green lush
That's what it used to be.
forest. Yeah,
I
but there's
think
also
that's
like
canon.
heavy duty like kyber crystals are there, and this is just a random way of the crystals to try to pull themselves back. Anywho, Tuna, your
I
bold
don't hate it.
prediction.
My bold prediction for Obi-Wan Season 2 is it is more of an anthology series that jumps around at different points in Obi-Wan's life. Young Obi,
Oh, you mean what we
middle
wanted?
age. This is exactly what I wanted. I'm just gonna will it into existence at this point. Like, they're just gonna make it happen because like the
And it didn't.
the central theme will be the Obi-Wan Qui-Gon types of like lessons and trainings in those years, and that'll be kind of like the through line. But then through that, he'll be going back within his life. Maybe there'll be some future stuff of when he's a little older. Maybe they'll do the live action Maul scene that we've seen in Rebels. maybe there's a little more context. If even like we see him as a Force ghost, just hanging out with Force Ghost Yoda and Force Ghost Anakin.
As an old man?
Yeah, just Force ghosting it. Like,
That,
what do the
so you'd
Force
have
ghosts
to-
do when they're not around the living
you
people?
trust-
Do they just kind of drink all day, or
Well, remember
have sandwiches?
the Force, I think, is everywhere all at once, and there's no time within the Force. If that makes no sense. So
Sure.
we still don't know what
we still don't know
is.
because we're not going to explore that because complicated.
That's
No.
what the season 2 will.
Now we're going to close out with the age-old question of was it good? We're going to start again to see if anyone changed their mind from the initial was Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 6 good?
Oh.
And I don't think we need to run around and ask each other. Just speak up real quick if your mind has changed. Mine, I said no, and it is still a no. Juna?
Yeah, for me, it's...
Krishna, go ahead. Sorry, Krishna.
So for me, it's still yes. It was entertaining, and yeah, I still think it's the best episode of the season, or at least it's the one I enjoyed the most. So yeah.
Did you cry? Did anyone cry?
No.
Do you guys ever cry over Star Wars? I'm the only one. When I left that theater after Rogue One, it was raining.
I think as a kid, I got emotional seeing Qui-Gon die. Like at 7 years old, I was like,
Let me rephrase.
see, I really liked.
Has
I really
anyone
liked the
cried
character.
over Disney Star Wars?
Oh no, I think I was 2. Well, I think Kanan's death was pretty emotional. Rebels is technically Disney.
Actually, I teared up when Maul got murdered.
I thought
by
that was
Obi.
beautiful. I
that
thought
was beautiful.
That was like a tear of beauty.
Yeah,
Like that was
that was
just
so cool.
It was just really well done. To answer your question though, actually, I'm going to change my vote to
Whoa.
yes for
Wow.
episode 6. I think
Okay, what?
I think as much as many parts that I disliked, there were parts that I still liked. And it also makes Star Wars is not a masterpiece by any means. This is not like highbrow art. This is like
You're starting to sound like Spielberg and Scorsese.
I'm not Martin Scorsese. Like this is cinema. Cinema. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the parts of the finale I enjoyed. I think were enough where even the parts that were bad, the Luke and the Tatooine stuff, we didn't even get into, but because it was terrible.
Don't even remember that happened.
Luke on Tatooine,
That was a
Reva
blur.
being chased.
That was a
chasing
blur.
him. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There were parts that were certainly bad, but I still think the other parts I enjoyed enough, and were the parts I enjoyed about the series.
Are you trying to become a background actor on Star Wars?
I love Star Wars. It is the greatest thing ever. Praise Star Wars.
Oh God, stop!
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I'm gonna change mine to yes.
I'm gonna
do
give it
think
a week,
was
and then
good.
randomly I'm gonna text you and ask you again.
It would have changed back by then.
Oh shit, yeah. I'm just gonna ask you every day. I'm gonna send you
Yeah,
a
yeah.
TikTok every day and then ask you immediately afterwards, what did your thought? But let's ask that final question. Junior, you can kick it off.
Okay, Ravi, was
Hello.
Obi-Wan the series / season 1? Question mark. Good.
To no one's surprise, I am going to say no, it was not good.
Twas not good.
And I will add to it, and we even talked about this, because I had mentioned to you guys I was going to rewatch episodes 1 through 5 of Obi right up to midnight to
Yeah,
get
like
that
7
whole experience of this, show. I couldn't make it past. I started episode 3 and I gave up. I just couldn't, because I was like, I know what's going to happen. It's nonsensical. It's annoying. I'm just irritated. So I just kind of watched YouTube channels and played Fallen Order, and I felt happier about everything.
Wow.
There you go.
Krishna, was Obi-Wan Kenobi season 1, maybe the whole show? Who the fuck knows? Good.
No, it was not good.
Whoa.
Wow, I'm actually
Oh, I
shocked.
was surprised too.
Whoa,
Actually.
whoa, whoa,
you're
whoa.
Oh my God! Hold on. We need a whole new
Whoa,
pod.
whoa.
Yeah, no, it was not. It wasn't good. So, if I said right, and I think I did say this, if episode 6 is the best episode of the season,
Oh, this was qualifier.
Oh yeah.
the qualified,
Yeah.
it implies that the rest of the show was worse than episode 6, right?
Right.
It was just, I think like we talked about, right? The focus was all over the place. There were some parts that were just flat out boring. It felt cheap. It looked cheap in a lot of places. There were some really good moments. There were some really enjoyable moments in the show. I particularly enjoyed, was episode 5 the one where we saw Obi-Wan and Anakin flashback fighting?
Yeah, that was a flashback.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I think episode 5 and then episode 6, I thought it ended really well, but the rest of the show, I was waiting to get to that. I wish that flashback had been throughout the whole thing, or more flashbacks of younger Anakin and younger Obi-Wan. And there were just points where I was just flat out pulled out of it, boring. It didn't make sense. So as a show, as a whole, I have to say no, it was not good. Arjuna was the supposedly limited series Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I like that.
Good.
I'm gonna say yes. Yes, it was good.
Whoa. You really want to be a background actor?
Again, it's honestly similar reasons to why I said episode 6 was good. There were parts of it that I really did enjoy. I know Ravi here has said like it was pointless and he doesn't see any reason to it. I see it a little differently in terms of I really enjoyed the Obi-Wan and the Darth Vader stuff, and I think as we got a package of a lot of bad, but I think that was still good enough to be like, I'm going to rewatch some of that stuff and really enjoy it. And seeing that relationship and seeing that Hayden, Ewan McGregor stuff. And look, we even talked about this at Star Wars Celebration during our live podcast about Star Wars is personal to you and what you enjoy about it. We talked about it with Attack of the Clones, which is like inarguably a bad movie, right? Like if you look at it from a critic's lens, cringe, bad. I still like that movie. I still enjoy it. It still brings me happiness and joy because it is part of that trilogy and it is part of those characters and their story. And this is an extension of that too. This is like a somewhat of an epilogue, somewhat of something in between that helps kind of bridge that. And it was enjoyable to see. And so I liked it. And it wasn't perfect by any means, but it was good for me.
Boom.
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 I like how Christian says boom when he's uncomfortable.
I'm not uncomfortable.
You're uncomfortable by Arjuna's. You can admit it. It's fine. We're all uncomfortable.
No.
I'm kidding.
Everything Arjuna said is 100% true and valid.
Why are you winking?
Are you gonna go in and CGI me winking?
I should actually. It wouldn't be that hard.
It'd be hilarious.
And it could look bad because that's acceptable now.
We are in a world. We
It's
are in
always
an
been.
age. I mean, look at the She-Hulk trailer they put out. I mean, that's acceptable today. Maybe we're all just too critical on CGI.
I think, yes. yeah, we are critical. Like,
well, actually, here's my question, and maybe this is homework for us. What do we consider good CGI?
It's a fantastic question.
it has to be CGI. So my classification of CGI.
Interstellar is perfect.
I think they've gotten
CGI.
space CGI down really, really well because there's a lot of actual images and things that you can take from. CGI in terms of things that are fantasy or very, very sci-fi based are hard to make believable. But my 2 rules for good CGI, in the moment that I see it, it's not the thing that pulls me out of whatever scene I'm looking at. And then number 2, when I go back 5 years, 5 years is my mark. I go back and I look at 5 years later, does it still hold up to kind of today's standard? So to Christian's point,
But isn't that kind of like technology is changing so fast?
well, this is why it's good though. Like, I guess not good, the best. Like it has to be something that holds
So
up.
what's like a recent example in the last 5 years of something that's held up?
There
isn't one.
No, shit, no, that came out well before 5 years. I was gonna say The Dark Knight, but that was more than 5 years ago.
Most of that's practical.
Well, there's still some CGI, like a lot of the effects and the fight sequences, like the big fight at the very, very end. There's a couple of explosions that are digital, or enhanced by that. So that to me is good CGI. But again,
you should watch Mad Max for an example of good CGI. They meld the CGI in that movie with the practical effects so well. You can't really.
And I think
tell. There's a few places you can, but it's really hard.
And
to
I think
tell.
the two examples that we're giving here, like the Dark Knight Rises, Mad Max, it's a melding of CGI and practical because it helps. And like,
but that's like a dying art form. That's
big
not
time,
really done anymore.
big time. I mean, like Obi-Wan shows it perfectly, where it's volume and then very little practical. The problem with Obi-Wan, like some of the worst uses of the volume was the night sequences on Tatooine when they're looking for Luke. It just depth of field and everything just looked wacky. To back to the whole like Disney Star Wars is like fan film, like that definitely felt fan film. And it's interesting because like with Star Wars fan films, a lot of these like individuals have access to not full blown volume sets, but to that similar technology of utilizing really big projection screens, cameras, camera tracking, Blender, and all that fun stuff to create that stuff. And some of the fan films, I would argue, in the last like year or two that I've seen, look better than some of the volume stuff that was put in Obi-Wan. So, I don't know. I don't know where the line is good and bad when it comes to CGI anymore.
Maybe your eyes are old.
You're going to turn 32, right?
No, actually, I called up the government and I was like,
I thought you were going to be like, I called up God.
I called up the government and I was like, hey, they say I'm supposed to turn 30 this year. Can we put it off another year? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Oh,
So I'm actually 26.
wow,
now.
you look terrible for 26 years old.
Wow.
Thank you.
What a
They
dick.
say we look like twins.
I'm bald.
You're not.
I am the part of the bald brotherhood.
You're not bald at all.
Join me.
You have a ton of hair on your head.
This is a wig.
That's not a wig.
And that's going to do it for us here on the Was It Good podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening and tuning in and listening to our correct opinions on everything. As always, you can find us on social media, on Twitter at Was It Good, on Instagram and TikTok at Was It Good Pod, on YouTube at youtube.com/wasitgood. And definitely check out our website, wasitgood.info. I would tell you what the next podcast is, but I do not see it on my outline. So, again, follow us on social to maybe get a hint.
Bye.